culture on France 24. Eve Jackson is here with me in the studio. Hello, Eve.
Hello.
We're starting with a row about France's special unemployment benefits for actors, performers, musicians and technicians. Now, the system of financial relief is under review. Last night, the government made a gesture to appease this group of workers, known here as the intermittents du spectacle. They're threatening to disrupt France's summer festivals.
That's exactly right. Now, it's quite complicated, so I'm going to start by giving you some background. Now, for decades, this system has been the envy of artists all around the world. French people working in arts and entertainment, from actors to comedians to the people operating our cameras. Now, they benefit from a special dole system, which means that they're protected in between jobs. So in their downtime, they're paid. Elsewhere in the world, people have to wait tables, they have to work in telesales. Here, they get a benefit from the government. Now, as you can imagine, this costs the government a bomb. And for years, they've been trying to downscale it, which, of course, has been causing lots and lots of strikes and protests here in France. Now, back in 2003, the last time they tried to review it, workers ended up shutting down the Avignon Theatre Festival, which is a very prestigious festival here in France. So they want to avoid anything like that happening. In July next month, new rules are coming in, which is going to see these workers waiting longer for these benefits. And this was agreed back in March between unions and bosses and the government. There have been lots of protests about this. It seems to be never ending. So last night, the Prime Minister announced that although they are still going to have to wait, he's not actually going to change the agreement that was made. The government instead are going to pay the money, the deficit that the workers were going to experience. So it's a short-term solution. He said that he's actually going to set up a commission which is going to overhaul the whole system, and hopefully they're going to have some sort of solution by the end of the year. So this is going to go on and on. Obviously, the unions are still unhappy, saying that nothing's really been sorted out, and they're still threatening to carry on with the strikes, which will still disrupt the summer festivals.
So perhaps the end of the French exception. Well, staying here in France, you're going to tell us about the must-see show here in Paris.
That's right. It's the 1950s musical, The King and I. Now, it's on at the Châtelet Theatre until the 29th of June. Now, many of us know the work because of the Oscar-winning film back in 1956, which was kind of we've all seen growing up in the Anglo world. Anyway, it's less known here in France. The Paris stage version has a very similar wow factor to the film. In fact, it kind of doesn't stray that far from the original interpretation. Take a look.
When I am with you, getting to know what to say. Haven't you noticed? Suddenly I'm bright and breezy. Because of all the beautiful and new things I'm learning about you day by day.
Now, The King and I is based on a true story, actually, that happened over a century ago of a British governess who worked in the King's Court in Siam, which is now Thailand. It was a memoir that became a novel, that became a stage musical, that then became an Oscar-winning film. So it goes on and on. The governess is played by Suzanne Graham. Earlier, she told me in our daily culture show, Encore, that she thinks it still is a very relevant story.
She's a very independent woman. She is breaking boundaries, as women still are in our world. She's fighting cultural barriers. She's fighting racial stereotypes. She is, fighting professional bias against her. And she stands up to him, and she finds her voice, and she finds her strength.
Inspiring stuff. Let's go now to one of the biggest art fairs.
That's right. Art Basel is taking place until Sunday. It kicked off on Thursday. Every year, approximately 70,000 gallerists, art lovers descend on the Swiss city, and the fair spans 3 halls, there's 284 galleries, there's 34 countries represented. Now this year, performance art and the ephemeral are stealing the show. Now let's hear from, if that doesn't mean anything to you, from some of the artists.
This is the one fair where you get the entire world converging, and that reflects who we've sold the work to. They've been sold to people from different places.
Because the Art Basel is so established, yeah, it's good to have this kind of show because it shows this sort of performative approach towards art, which is much more interesting than I think only canvas and only just pictures on the wall. But I have to say that because I'm a performance artist, so.
Well, let's go now to the World Cup, and the art world is making a foray in there too.
That's true. Well, something that's causing a big buzz on the web, 115 1,000 hits so far. It's called Allez le Bleu. Come on, France. I'm not going to give you my judgment on it. This is 38-year-old Miss Wendy from Cameroon. Take a look.
Okay, we'll definitely try that tonight during the French game. Thank you.
Couldn't have said it better
much.
yourself. Come on, France.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that, Eve. Well, that brings us to our sports update. Very smooth. And you've guessed it, we're starting with the upcoming World Cup showdown.